Hello everybody, Turkey Cat here, bringing you guys another game. I do have the webcam set up now, so you guys can see my beautiful face while I cast games. This game is actually going to be, it's not a ladder game. Every other game I've casted so far on this point has been ladder games, official, legit, real, straight from the ladder. This game is actually a peep mode game. If any of you guys are not familiar with peep mode, it is an excellent custom game created by my friend Iculus. He has actually created a kind of an observation kind of game where a lot of people can join and basically kind of battle it out against each other while everybody can watch and learn new strategies, learn new tricks, learn things they've never seen before. And it's all in an environment where you can chat and be friendly with your fellow players of the StarCraft game. So it's something I like to do when I'm kind of taking a break from ladder, when I want to play a game that's maybe not so serious, or when I want to try something that maybe I don't do on ladder because I don't want to risk the possibility of losing ladder points just to try something new. So there's a lot of reasons to play peep mode. You can find the peep mode maps in the custom game section. You search for peep mode, or specifically the best one is the map of the day, which changes every single day. You can go to peepmode.com and sign up, register, and actually vote or you can upvote or downvote, similar to Reddit. If any of you guys are familiar with Reddit, you can upvote or downvote the maps that are chosen every single day and increase or decrease the chance that those maps will be chosen. So definitely an interactive kind of system, and the map of the day will change every single day at the same time. So it's on, it's very well managed, and it allows you to kind of get a different experience every day with the peep mode, and it allows you to continue to play the same custom game while changing the map every single day, and actually be able to create a full game. And it's actually very popular, so you will easily at any time of the day. I constantly play in the middle of the night, and I'm still able to get a full game going. So great thing. If you've never tried it, I would definitely recommend searching for map day in custom games. Just in the little search bar, type map day and hit enter. It'll search for that. You should be able to find it. It's the very first item. It'll pop up. It says a 1v1 obs map of the day, and it's peep mode. And it's got a lot of great features to it. Just for those of you who are not familiar, this game, specifically the game that I'm going to be casting for you guys tonight, was played on peep mode, and it was a game that was a whole bunch of people from my clan, LXG. That's Team LXG. If you want to go to teamlxg.com, we'd love it if you check that out. We do weekly tournaments. If you guys are familiar with playhem.com, it's playhem.com. There is a week. There's actually every single week we do two different tournaments. There is a bronze through gold for those of you who are in the lower leagues trying to work your ways up or just want to play around, have some fun. And then there's also a platinum and diamond tournament. The bronze through gold takes place on Tuesday nights, starting at 7 o'clock Central Time. That's what I'm familiar with. That's the time I know. It's I guess I'm not sure what that is in other time zones, but it's the same times. Thursday night is the platinum and diamond. That's what I will tend to compete in if I have a chance, as I am a diamond player. Love it if you guys would join in, play, or if you've never heard of Playham before, definitely check it out. You can earn points and money for playing in games, and it is the 29th of July right now, and we are going to be doing kind of a summer championship. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to be doing qualifiers for that, so I definitely recommend you guys check that out if you're checking out this video at that time. So that aside, this game is going to be how to handle decision making based on what based on what a protoss opponent is doing in the mid to late game. So I've said before, the stream is not, at least at this point, going to focus on standard games, but specifically at the very beginning of this game, I was actually casting on my live stream. That's twitch.tv/turkeycat. I was casting on my live stream with a friend of mine, and we were both playing in this peep mode game, and both talking about the games we were watching other people play, and me specifically ended up playing this game here, and there's a lot of commentary about the decisions I made and why I made them from the both of our perspective. And we're both Zerg players, so we both had different opinions about the reasons and the pros and cons of the decision making in the mid to late game stages of this, and exactly why I did what I did. And I wanted to make this VOD to kind of explain what my good decisions were and what my bad decisions were. I do make mistakes in this game. I am not a Grandmasters player, as I've said many times, so you're not going to see perfect play from me, but you're going to see, I guess, above average player making the decisions as they, see stages of the game unfold and reasons why I made that decision at the time. So I'm going to explain that to you guys. I'm going to show you guys this game. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get right into it. I'm basically going to be showing you only my perspective. So this is Peep mode. You kind of start out with an avatar. Mine is the Queen because I purchased the Queen because I played a lot of Peep mode. I am going to be playing up, it's kind of a random, we had this set up on random because it is all a clan, so we were all familiar with each other. And basically, normally it would be King of the Hill. So whoever won the last game would continue to play until they lose. The winner becomes a new king, etc., etc. I'm sure you guys have all seen that in one game and the other, but this is completely random. So I was chosen to play against the deck LXG. Now this is another clanmate of mine. He is not a Grandmasters player, as the symbol would allow you to believe, but that is not the point of this game. He actually is an excellent player. He does play very well in this game, and I'm going to show you exactly what happens. So I'm only showing you my perspective of the game, and I'm going to basically explain exactly what decisions I made throughout the game and why I made them. So at this point in the game, obviously the game just began, so I'm going to do a little bit of drone micro. I'm going to try to optimize my economic lead in this game. And I'm going to explain stage by stage. Basically, I'm going to focus on what I choose to do and why I choose to do it. Now, this player, I said the very first stage of the game, I was on stream, I was on my live stream. If you guys want to check that out, again, it's twitch.tv/turkeycat. I think it's around the 2-hour mark of my latest video on July 29th, where I will play this player and you'll see it unfold live with commentary from my friend Mthex, who was also in Skype with me, and you can hear both of our voices as this game is playing out live. Now obviously we are very mannered players and very legit players, so he was not revealing any kind of secrets, or we weren't cheating. So this is a legitimate game, just like it would if it was on ladder. He could obviously see everything that both players were doing, but he did not give me inside information on this game. So as it goes through, I'm going to basically explain this, just as if it was a ladder game. But this was a very interesting game, and I did think it was worth making it onto my YouTube page. So as you can see, the protoss player here will be scouting my base. He is going to see, well, actually I don't know if he saw the pool go down, but I did see he kind of did a run through, made sure I wasn't making an early pool, and I did put my pool down at the 14 or 15 drone mark. Essentially I'm going to go for, I think it was 15. I'm going to go for a 15 pool, 16 hatch build. This is generally what I do in Protoss or ZvP. A lot of times I will just straight up forego getting the hatch at 16 and instead go for the straight up first 4 lings. I'm going to actually pause here for a second. I'm going to go for the first 4 lings, get the lings out, secure the hold on the base, and then actually take it at that point. So a lot of times you won't actually see me take it until the 18 to 20 supply mark, but at this point I am going to try to take it at the 16 mark, and you are going to see that I'm going to attack the probe. I'm going to try to get it out of the way, and I'm going to try to put down the hatchery. It doesn't really cost you anything if you try to do this and fail. But as you're going to see in this game, I do manage to get that hatchery down. So pretty easy. I got one attack. The probe automatically moved out of the way. He wasn't, my opponent was not paying attention at the exact second that I did that. But as you saw, he was a good player. He was actually right on the ball, and he did move his probe back the second that I first attacked. But it bought me the half a second that I needed to get that hatchery down, so I was successfully able to do that. Now, right now I want to explain exactly what I'm thinking. So my overlord sees that he went Forge first, then Nexus. What does that tell me? Well, exactly this. Protoss is actually perfectly safe against a 15 hatch build to go Nexus first. They know that the Lings will not be there in time to try to do any kind of harassment, and they will be able to fully wall off with the Forge, then Gateway build. Forge, then Gateway, then Cannon. and the cannon will actually finish before they're able to break down either the forge or the gateway. A really aggressive Zerg with a 14 or 15 hatch, excuse me, a 14 or 15 pool would be able to get lings, their first 4 lings to the protoss base, depending on the map, around the time the cannon is beginning or to the midpoint of the point of warping in. But you're not going to be able to break down the full health of either a forge or a nexus or maybe even a pylon before that cannon will finish and deny you from actually doing any serious damage, as it only takes 2 shots from a cannon to kill a single Zergling, and if you invest heavily into Zerglings at that point in the game, you're just going to be far behind. So that's not something I ever recommend. But basically what this tells me right here is saying Forge first, then Nexus. That tells me that if he had gone Nexus first, he's going to have an economic advantage. The Nexus first will actually go down before the hatch, as long as the probe, there's a probe in your base trying to deny that. Now, if he did go Nexus first, the Nexus will actually go down before the hatch anyway, even if it was 14, 16, or around that same time. But basically, if he was able to deny this hatchery by even a little bit, by blocking it with the probe, maybe by building a pylon if he had the 100 minerals in time, then he's going to be able to very seriously deny this base. And in that case, you see a lot of professional players just go ahead and take the third. And then immediately after they're able to get those 4 lings out and kill that pylon, blocking this the natural, then they will take the natural at that point. So they get the third first, so it's actually their second in this position. And then they will, after that, take the natural base as their third base. So, it's a little bit, whatever. I don't want to go into all the details about transferring drones to the third and how that's ugly and everything like that. But basically, I want to let you know exactly what I'm thinking at this point, because that's the whole point of this YouTube channel, is to let you know that at this point, I realized that I was able to get this hatchery down at 16. If I didn't, if I had waited, like in a lot of games, I just do. I don't even try to get it down to 16. I will get the first 4 lings out around 18 to 20 supply, kill this probe or kill the pylon, and then take the base, and then immediately after that take this base. And you get the bases, you get this third base down around the 4-minute 20 mark or so. And that's perfectly fine to have both these bases go down at the exact same time around the 4-minute to 4-minute 20 mark. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. But because I was able to get this down at 16 supply, it means that my second hatchery went down before his Nexus. If he'd gone Nexus first, his economy would still be ahead, even though I was able to get this hatchery down at 16 supply. So that's really something I want to point out. It's really important. It's not a big deal, it's not huge, but it tells me at this point in the game, with this Overlord scouting this Nexus after the Forge, I know that because I was able to get this hatchery down at 16, that I am actually even with this Protoss player or ahead at this point, and I don't have to worry about catching up severely. So I'm just going to play this completely standard, and that's exactly why I choose to make the decisions I choose to make in this game. So this is not a how-to-do video or anything like that for the early stages of the game. So if you want to see that, I'm not going to do a how to do a Stefano style build. I'm not going to do a how to do roach aggression build, and you're never going to see that on my channel. So if you want to see that, Google search it, YouTube search it, I don't care. Find it somewhere else, because you're not going to find it here. This video is basically to explain why I make the decisions I make in the later stages of this game. But you are going to see me do a standard with the current meta type opening, which is to get three quick bases, 3 quick queens, and basically just mass out. 6-minute mark, I'm going to take double gas. 7-minute mark, I'm going to take evolution chamber Roachwarren, and you're actually going to see me take 2 evolution chambers because I like to do that. It's a little bit of a mix-up. It will delay your infestor tech or your later tech in the game, but it allows you to get a huge upgrade advantage on your Protoss opponent, where most Protoss are going to expect +1 roaches. I got +1, bitch. So it's going to be a lot more powerful. And in fact, a lot of times, depending on what my Protoss opponent is doing, we'll go for the +2/+2 before the infestor tech, before investing into the infestor tech. So that's the reason why you're going to see that kind of thing from me. At this point, my Overlord is scouting the fact that he's building his first gateway after the photon cannon. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. And he built a second photon cannon behind it. Not a big deal, but basically it tells me that currently he does not have any army here. So he's not trying, the gateway going down a little later tells me I'm not going to experience any kind of chrono boosted zealot aggression or anything like that. So I don't have to worry at all. I'm literally just droning like crazy. So I got 15 drones in my main. I've got currently 7 in my natural, and I'm just now finishing my third, so I do have a queen there. I do actually take my first queen, send it to my second, do the inject there while I make another queen in my main. Basically, first queen goes to the natural, injects there, then moves to the third. And then the second queen that comes out at the main injects there, then moves to the second, and then the third queen injects there, and then by the time you got 3 queens, and you got 3 queen happy bases. So at 6 minutes, I did take these double extractors. I still see that he only has these items in the front, is getting his first gas, or at least first gas that I can see, but I assume that he's got at least 1 in his main at this point. So I know he's on, I assume he's on at least 2 gases, because to take that gas that late, even with a forge first at your natural, taking that gas there and that being your first gas, it's pretty late for a protoss. So right now, if I pull up the production tab like a good little Zergy, you'd see that I have produced nothing but drones at this point. And it's the 7-minute mark, so it's a correct decision to send the Overlord into the Protoss main base to see exactly what he's building. At this point in the game, I'm going to tell you, I even said this on my live stream, I assumed that he was going Stargate Tech. I thought for sure that he was going Stargate Tech because he did have a sentry here, but I assume that was for defense. There's only one that I can see. The gateway is producing, but that's not that abnormal if he's producing something like a Zealot or anything else. The fact that I don't see any other tech here, or I don't see a cyber core, but obviously got to have a cyber core if he's going to build a starport. But I'm just not that sure. And I know he's got 1 gas here. It's very possible he's got all 4 of these gases. So I was actually assuming Stargate Tech, and on my live stream I even made a point to mention that. But at the 7-minute mark, I am sending in this Overlord and also taking these 2 gases. Again, this is not a tutorial video, so I'm going to stop talking about that. But that's what I was thinking at this point is, okay, maybe go in Stargate Tech. I see the first and second gas, I guess, and I see that he's actually taken several hundred gas out of both of these so far. So I know he took them fairly early. So I was actually still thinking Stargate Tech until I saw the robotics facility and a gateway and a cyber core and more pylons. So as these things unfold, I can see, okay, gateways and a robotics facility that was obviously built first. So he is actually going for some kind of a mortal pressure, which means immediately evolution chamber, roach warren, and lair. The lair started there with that gas. I thought that may have been a little late. Actually, speed should have been started by now, but that was a little mixed up on my part. But still, just producing, besides those upgrades, I'm just producing drones. So, or besides the structures that I'm building. And I've said this before, but you build all 3 of these structures at the same time, or if you just want to go for evolution chamber roach warren, that's fine. But you do start them at the same time. The evolution chambers will finish sooner, about 20-30 seconds, and you do start the upgrades immediately if you can. It's best to do that because the upgrades actually take about 20 to 30 seconds longer than the roach warren. 110 seconds on that, and it's 190 seconds, so it's actually, oh wow, so 80 seconds longer than the roach speed. So if you start them before the roach speed, they'll actually finish around the same time, and it's the best optimal thing for you to do. Obviously, layer just finished, so my roach speed started right on time. That's fucking amazing. My drone count is awesome in my natural. 2 full rows is 16 drones, and that's perfect saturation on 8 minerals. So 2 for mineral patches. You can actually get extra benefit from having more drones, so it's not that bad, but you don't need them. You're gonna get less of a benefit from having more than 16 drones than you are from, like, say 15 to 16. That extra drone is gonna make a bigger difference than, say, from 16 to 17. Or anything above 16, because the fact that you have 2 per mineral patch will leave, I don't know, a couple, like a half a second or whatever of a delay. As you can see, like this drone gets there just slightly before that one finishes. With 3 on that mineral patch, it's going to be, obviously that drone's going to have to wait for like half the mining time. So you still do get a benefit of about half, but it's not as good as it would otherwise be, so it's actually not really worth that investment. I am sending out a couple links here to make sure he's not taking a third, because it is that 10:30 mark, so I'm expecting a push any second now. So you can see that I was good saturated. I am producing units. I've got some zerglings here with speed and some roaches, and I'm just basically producing roaches at this point, but I see no thirds, so I'm expecting a push. Right now I'm feeling like, okay, what's he doing? And I'm pausing here to explain that I sent that zergling in to see exactly what his army looked like, as I can only see these sentries here, as he did push this overload back a little bit when he had high ground sight. So I wasn't sure what he had up here, but I didn't see a massive army. So at this point, I'm taking my macro hatch. It is actually late. I did comment on that on my live stream that, okay, this hatchery is a little bit late, but I've got 4 gas. You can actually, I want to mention, I know this is not a Stefano style tutorial, but if you're only going for +1 and Roach Warren, and you're not getting a second evolution chamber, you can actually do this with only 3 gas. So it allows you to get less of a saturation of drones. I have 4 gas because fuck it, right? Why not? I felt confident. I knew I could do it. I do it a lot, so totally cool. I'm actually getting my 5th gas even. I even wanted to start teching to infestors, so I knew I was going to need additional gas to do that. But I did start my 2-2 the very instant that +1/+1 finished. It's great if you can be on the ball that much, but you don't necessarily have to be. It's just good, and you can trust me on that. I didn't show you immediately when that happened, but it was the instant that +1/+1 finished. I was watching these, and I immediately started +2/+2. So I will actually kind of show you what he's doing right now. So he is actually producing immortals. See, at this point, the push is late. It is the what point in the game is it actually? Because the peep mode actually displays the entire duration of the game. So as you can see, it's 107 or 1 hour 7 minutes into this game. But it's actually like 11, 12 minutes or something like that into the game. So his push is very late. So at this point, this is exactly where the point in the game where I really want to start focusing on my decision making. So I've got roaches. I didn't actually know this overseer was there until right now. But I've got the roaches. I've got perfect saturation. There's no reason for me, without him taking a 3rd, for me to take a 4th. I did take a 4th, and I will explain that in a minute. If you're struggling with this matchup, don't take a 4th. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. It's not important. The 4th is only if you want to go to late game tech. I chose to put down an infestation pit, and shortly after that finishes, I'm going to immediately go to hive. I'm not going to talk about that right this second. I will talk about it later, but the reason why I am doing this, this is actually exactly what I wanted to do. It's +2/+2, and to get the roach tech, because I know that any kind of army he can hit me with right now is going to be immortal, stalker, and sentry. Or actually zealot. Right, zealot and sentry and immortal. Not a lot of stalkers. The stalkers he'd warp in at the time of his attack. Essentially, usually when you see a protoss move out around the 10 to 11 minute mark, they're going to move out with about 3 to 5 zealots, 8 sentries, and like 3 immortals. And this overseer or this overlord would see that, or this zergling would see that at the tower. I'd see, okay, look, 3 zealots, 8 immortals, or 8 immortals. That'd be OP. 8 sentries and 3 immortals, and you say, okay, well, all right, he's doing this kind of push, and he's going to put a pylon down somewhere over here or something like that, and then warp in stalkers. So that's where his stalker enforcement comes from. But with that much gas invested into sentries and immortals early in the game, you can't actually afford this many stalkers. So the reason why he has so many right now is because his push is so late. It's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes late at this point in the game. So I don't actually know that, obviously. I'm going to go back to my view. I think it was number 7. Yes, I was. And I'm basically going to produce up to 160 supply in roaches, or ish. And the reason why I do that, and even as I say that, it's exactly when it happened, because that is a safe number to tech correctly to infestors. If the reason why I choose around that is that roaches are 2 supply each. So filling up that extra 34 supply is only going to actually cost me half that in number of roaches, and I can easily make that kind of larva off of 4 hatcheries. Not a problem at all. Plus, I'm getting the extra one. Like I said, if you're struggling in this matchup, if you really want to learn this, don't worry about taking the 4th. It's not that important. The reason why I took this 4th so early was I was trying to cut corners. I was trying to sneak the hatchery early, get extra gases, and get a broodlord army, a late game army, up faster. Now, if I had to cancel this, or if I lost this early, it's not going to make a big deal when I'm sitting on 3 bases already with a macro hatch, with good upgrades, with good tech going down already. If I had to cancel this, or if I had to lose this 300 mineral investment, it's not going to be that big of a deal. If it was coming down to my natural base or something like that in the early, like the first 5 minutes of the game, that's a big deal. At this point, it's not that big of a deal, especially if I got the cancel off, because that's only 75 minerals it's going to cost me. It's like 1 roach, right? Without the gas cost. So that's the reason why I chose to do that. But at this point, I'm going to go up to about 160 to 170 supply in roaches, and then get my infestor tech up. Now I'm going to stop pausing the game actually. As soon as this infestation pit finishes, I will start the research upgrade, and I'm going to start my hive and my spire. And that again is because I'm cutting corners. Now, I don't actually recommend doing that, especially if you're struggling in this matchup. I recommend just continuing with this production and actually doing some harassment with these roaches. But because I know that he's not taking a third, I'm actually scared at this point. I know he's going to be doing something soon. I know he's going to be pushing out. I know he's going to be aggressive soon because he's not doing anything. He's just massing on 2 bases. In fact, in a little bit, I'm going to send one of these Zerglings over here to make sure he's not doing anything, because I'm going to be like, why hasn't he killed me yet or tried? But as you can see, this hatch did just finish. I delayed another creep tumor. I'm not worried about injects on this base. I don't care about this base. I just want these gas geysers. That's really all I want. So I'm producing the gas geysers right away. I'm actually producing the 6 drones I need for these gas geysers immediately, so they're actually arriving right now. I literally gave no fucks. But at this point, you're going to see that, oh my god, he's moving out. And in fact, you're going to see me. I'm on my camera. I just saw that army moving out. So pause right here for a second. I'm going to explain. This is a lot of immortals. That's more than 3 immortals. In fact, that's 3 more than 3 immortals. So it's a lot more dangerous of an army than I would normally experience at the 10-minute mark. This is a 14-minute mark, so he spent that extra time producing nothing but that. Now, does he have the 8 sentries? Yes, immaculate, perfect, exactly 8. That's great. That's the perfect number you need. And because this pushes later, they're going to have more energy. So 3 things are going to stack against me in this game. A, this pushes 4 minutes later. That means that he's going to have 4 minutes more worth of gas units. B, he's got 6 immortals, not 3. So he's going to even harder counter my 3 or my roaches. And you think about it, the 3 immortal 8 century push is designed to hard counter the roach aggression. It's designed to kill you before you can get a mass number of roaches and just completely overwhelm the Protoss army. It's designed to keep your roaches from hitting the immortals and killing them. So this push is intended against this kind of army that I'm building, this exact army that I have right here. This is the hard counter. Now, additionally, not just the extra immortals that he's got, which immortals, do hard counter roaches. You can look in, you can go to like the unit help in F12, and you can see Zerg units, roach. Where is it? Roach. Weak against immortal. It's on that list, and that list is not that great. So if you see weak against on that list, it is really weak against it. But stalkers are also fairly good against immortal roaches, and with this late of a push with 4 minutes later, you could not possibly have this many stalkers already. So this is a scary army with what I have right now. But you're going to see me immediately begin producing mass number of roaches. I already had 6 infestors on the way at this point, because I did want, like I said, you want to get up to about 160, and that allows you, so if you see him moving out, you can immediately max out. You have only 30 supply to go. You can immediately max out the rest of your army with roaches and lings, depending on what you see. But it allows you that leeway, that 30 supply leeway, to actually spend gas and money on infestors if you have that ability. So if you got gas to spend at that point when you're at 160 to 170 supply in Roach Ling, then you build infestors. That's just, you do that, and there's no question. But infestors are support units, so you have to have army to build infestors. That's important. You can't just win on infestors. I mean, I guess you can, but only in like really, really wild situations that don't normally happen. You're not going to ever, because infestors don't attack, so you're not going to ever just win against a Protoss like going mass infestor, as an example. So and they're so gas expensive that'd be retarded anyway. You need this kind of army right here, or any kind of late game army to support that, and the infestors allow you to use Roachling much more efficiently, and also allow you to transition into late game units without the fear of dying. Without infestors, if you try to skip straight from Roachling to Broodlords, you're just gonna die. So hopefully that's not news to you. Hopefully you're aware of that. Hopefully you know that infestors are important in this matchup. So that's why I am producing 6 infestors, and those are half done. So they've been producing for a while. But at this point, you're going to see me start to just mass out in as many units as I can. I did actually click my lings out of my control group and send them up here so I could try to get a flank. But then I realized, holy shit, I only had like 15 lings. So not that good. Right now, I'm sending 2 lings over here just to make sure he's not doing anything sneaky with pylons and such nonsense. But this right here, I'm going to explain exactly why I do this. So I know that his army is moving up. Oh god, what's happening? Oh god, what just happened? I just like my okay, good. Holy shit, that scared me. I was hoping I was afraid I was gonna have to do this whole thing over again. Okay, so his army's moving out right here, right? And I know about this pushing up. So my first initial reaction was, I have all these roaches, I'm going to be at a disadvantage. I know as a Zerg player, I'm going to have to throw more than one army at this kind of an army in order to kill it. You know, you're not just going to straight up win this engagement ever, so don't expect to do that. You're going to have to throw 2 or 3 different armies at them, but that's the advantage of Zerg, is we can make our armies all at once. So I'm easily able to remax instantly. Holy shit, there's a lot of scrolling issues. I'm going to have to start using my arrow keys. So at this point, I'm actually just going to use my camera. That'll be easier. I'm going to inject. I know he's coming. I'm producing like a shitload of stuff, and my initial reaction right now is I should get a concave going. But I've splitting off my army and trying to do this stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get a concave going at the low ground. So I'm doing that, and then I think, okay, wait, that's not going to work because it's going to have high ground advantage. So, damn it. So my immediate decision is, okay, I'm going to poke up and see if I can get high ground advantage, but I see his army already here. So at this point, when I'm controlling this army and I know my infestors are on the way, damn it, that's really annoying. I can't scroll up now anymore. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, there we go. So my infestors are on the way. I know they've spawned because I pressed 3 and I can see, okay, my infestors actually have spawned. I know they're on the way. They can help me support this army. But this roach army is never going to beat this army. This is a perfect counter to exactly what I've got here. But I know that I'm probably going to have to lose this 4th base. I know that I don't have the numbers or the spine crawlers to support this 4th base right now, and I really needed those. That was the next thing I would have done if this game had continued to plan out in my fashion. But since it didn't, I knew, okay, I've got only a certain amount of time before he makes it to this 3rd. Now this high ground is the halfway point between his base and my base. And if I allow him to get into my base before I start to fight him off, then I'm going to have a much harder time remassing. And that's really important. You should expect as a Zerg player that you're going to have to remass your army at least once, probably twice. And in this game, you're going to see 3 times. I have to remass before I'm able to actually kill this army. But the reason why I move in right now is initially I pushed up to see if I could still gain a high ground advantage. I wasn't fast enough to do that as his army's already in position, but this pylon has just now gone down. So I chose to engage into this army because I know that he cannot immediately reinforce this with zealots and stalkers. You know, he can't immediately build anything right here. He's going to have to fight me with what he's got here, and if he does manage to actually build anything while he's engaging, he's going to have to build it back here and rally it up, and that's going to give me more time to remass. So my instant decision here was just go ahead and engage. And as you're going to see, this is not going to go excellently for me. Now, a lot of times people would say you should target fire the Immortals, but again, I'm going to pause here to explain that the reason why I do not do that is with this number of stalkers, with this late of a push, I know that if I try to target fire these Immortals, these stalkers are going to destroy my roaches before I have a chance to do anything, and he can easily pull these back. There's a lot of Immortals. I already killed one that was right here in the front. There's 6 more here, so I know they're going to just rip through these roaches. This is kind of a situational thing where you have to decide, you know, what's more valuable to you at this point. And since I have infestors coming and I know I can just massively damage this army in general and keep them locked in place and not allow them to actually do anything, I killed that pylon. He's not going to be able to, or no, I didn't yet. But I'm about to kill that pylon. I know he's not going to be able to reinforce. I know he's not going to be able to do anything at this point. I'm just going to use these fungals. And in fact, that's exactly what I was focused on at this point in the game. This army is A-moved. I have literally just like A-moved it. I'm focused on these infestors because these infestors and fungals will kill these shields and then start working on the actual health of these units here, and that's more important than anything at this point in the game. So as I'm coming up, infestors were a little bit late, but I am fungling. I'm pulling back a little bit, trying to save as much of this army as I can, because essentially if I lose the entire army, I'm dead. I need to keep some of it to keep him a little bit back. But you can see that I actually did manage to kill a decent chunk of his army there. A lot of stalkers died, although he still does have 6 Immortals. I'm pretty sure he's 6 Immortals. Yeah, 6 Immortals. So I can only see 3 of them at that point. But obviously still has the full, almost the full count of Immortals. 6 of the 7 are still remaining. But if I lose this entire army, he's just going to immediately A-move here, A-move here, and he's going to kill me off entirely. If he manages to kill this 3rd, I'm just dead. I won't have the production even if I had the bank. I'm not going to have the production at all to save my life for anything. So at this point in the game, I'm just saying, hey, I need to back up. I got these infestors alive. I got this amount of roaches. I can at least hold him off long enough to actually remass my army. But unfortunately, this pylon did finish, so he's going to be able to continue massing units. But at this point, I'm just producing 26 roaches, 10 lings. I'm just moving back in just to scare him. I got a couple fungals off right there, and I'm trying to just poke this army a little bit, get some damage done. But he saw that I fungaled him. He wasn't able to retreat like he wanted to, so he continued to engage in. So I saw the fungals go down, and I clicked yes, attack, attack, attack. Right now, because his army saw that he got fungaled and moved back in to attack me, I'm going to immediately retreat. I'm going to be like, holy shit, this is bad. This is bad engagement, and I'm going to retreat. I got more units that are streaming out right now. I'm still producing. This is really important. And on top of that, I am not, well, I am, this is a bad example right now because my shit's not injected, but you can't miss your injects. I did just actually inject that one. You'll probably see me inject these two in just a few seconds, but you need to be on that at the same time because that's really important. You can't continue your production without the injects, and yeah, okay. So I was only a few seconds late on those at this point, but as you can see, my injects aren't perfect. Look, I got 35 energy on this queen, I got 75 on this one, and 47 on this one. One of these queens existed a lot longer than this macro hatch, so that's why this one probably has so much extra energy, but still, as you can see, my injects are not perfect. I've missed a full 2 injects on each base. That's, I guess, something you can expect from a player of my caliber at this point in the game. But that's not the point. The point is you got to make sure you're still injecting while you need those units fast. And right now, I've got more surges of units coming in. So you want to continue to press this army as much as you can. You have to keep them from rebuilding their shields and reinforcing as much as you. And your advantage as a Zerg player is you can build much more units a lot faster than they can. And at this point, when my shit's injected, there's nothing else I can do besides just continue to produce units. And I'm doing that, and I'm currently at 194 supply. Yeah. It's time to push. You push a little bit. If you can trade a third of their army for half of yours, it's a good trade. If you can trade even a fourth of their army for half of yours, it's an okay trade. But at this point, I just killed 2 more immortals. I'm not even target firing. I'm literally just A-moving, and I'm losing the majority of my army. If I pause right here at this point in the game, you're going to see I'm at 150 supply. I just lost 50 supply in units, and I don't know what he's at, but it's not, 112. So he's got much less than me, but his units are always much more efficient. Even with an upgrade advantage, he's still much more efficient than me, especially with this hard counter of units that he's got here. But at this point, I just threw a half of another army away, and I likened that immortal army to something that you would see at the 10-minute mark rather than like the 18-minute mark. And the soccer count is something I can easily kill with links. So at this point, I have all these roaches, and I see nothing but stalker, immortal, and 2 sentries left. So I managed to thin out his sentry count. I managed to kill a lot of his immortals, and all he's got left is stalkers. So what's my correct decision at this point? Lings. Because lings are going to kill both of these things. I did actually lose these infestors, so that's bad on my part, but I'm producing nothing but lings. I got a couple mortals, or roaches. They were already on the way, though. I'm going to continue to just hold off this army as long as I can. Just continue to push, continue to push, continue to push. But with force fields going down, the reason why I back off there is that this is an extremely bad engagement when I've got roaches, even if they're concaved around these force fields, attacking into these kind of things. I can't get the correct number of roaches attacking a single immortal at the right time that I should have in order to get the best engagement possible. So at this point, when he force fields himself like this, he can't actually move into my base. So it buys me additional seconds. So it's the correct decision at that point when he force fielded that ramp and blocked off half my army to just pull back and save that half of my army. I've got 40 lings on the way. I know I've got units on the way. I'm staying on top of my injects. As you can see, this is the next round of injects. And I know that I've got units coming. This is an intense battle, but I know that if I just don't lose my entire army all at once, I can manage to hold this off. So as these force fields are going to fade here in just a few seconds, you're going to see that I'm going to want to be aggressive again. I know he's backing out. I still know he hasn't taken his third base, so I know he's going all in on this. And if I can crush this army right now, I'm going to win. This is still an intimidating army. Still absolutely a very intimidating army, but as I've got lings coming out here, and as the rest of these are finishing, you're going to see me suddenly get all of these lings in position, and I'm going to realize, okay, it's time right now. So immediately, as this pushes up, I see zealots in the front, right? That's something you'll only really be able to correctly react to in the heat of a moment. But if you put it on my camera view, you're going to see I've got this entire army selected, and I'm going to move around this army and get a surround on the back of those stalkers because I don't want to engage the lings into the zealots. If you just move into this right now, the lings are going to go on the zealots. Yes, the immortals and the stalkers will probably target the lings first before the roaches, but that's still a bad engagement for you. So you're going to see, whoops, what did I just do? Okay, so you're going to see I'm going to go around, and I'm going to try to get a surround on this entire army. And at this point, we've got all of these lings hitting every single stalker, and these immortals are still stuck in the center. So the immortals are actually still not being target fired. And you always hear people say, "You target fire the immortals, target fire the immortals." I'm still not doing that. I'm still not doing that because the stalker numbers are just so intimidating. But with this amount of lings, he cannot possibly kill the lings fast enough with a slow shooting powerful attacker like a stalker and a slow shooting powerful attacker like an immortal. The lings are just going to rip those apart, and that's exactly what you're going to see here with the only 8 roaches I still have tanking in the back. This is what I'm talking about. If I lost these roaches, I would have lost the game. If I lost my entire army, I just lose the game. When I don't lose these roaches, I don't lose the game, and that's exactly what you see. So at this point, I'm just going to crush in, and he's morphing in zealots because that's the only thing he feels like he can do. He saw me make a ton of lings, and so he morphed in a ton of zealots. Proper micro, I'm going to clean that up easily, and with reinforcements coming, I'm just going to easily clear this up. I did create my greater spire on the way, or did have that on the way, but behind this, the important thing is I'm not missing my again, I guess bad example, but I'm not missing injects in general. I may not be perfect on them, but I'm not missing them in general. I am hitting them. I'm still at around 50 supply or 50 energy and 75 energy on those queens, so I know that I'm doing just fine. And I'm just staying pretty much on the ball. I know when those are finishing, and I've got units constantly being produced. Now at this point, I finally am reproducing infestors because I know that my army is large enough to hold off his army, and so I know that I can support my army with the infestors again. That's why I'm choosing to reproduce infestors at that point. If I'd have produced them earlier, I would have lost because you need that larva for the actual army to do the engagements. The infestors will help because you can do fungals, but fungals aren't going to do shit against protoss if you don't have the army to actually finish killing their health after you kill their shields with the fungals. So you're just not going to do any actual damage. And at this point, I've just taken commanding position, knowing that he doesn't have a third, knowing he doesn't have a sneaky third, and knowing that he doesn't have anything going on here with this overseer. I basically am just going to move and win this game. So as you can see, I am actually really far behind. Not really far behind. I was not planning on fighting an engagement at that point in the game because I had the Greater Spire and I had a hive, and I was hoping the Greater Spire wasn't done yet, but I was hoping to go into Broodlord Tech before I actually faced an army. But I knew that I would probably see some kind of push between the 11 or the 10 to 16 minute mark before I would really start getting those Broodlords out. And that's why the infestors were an equal middle ground. And this game is basically going to show you exactly what happens when you are planning to hold off an earlier attack, like a 10 to 11 minute push, maybe even 12, and then that doesn't happen, and what you should actually do. So if he had taken a third at this point, I would have massed out on roaches, or if he had taken a third at that point, I mean 10, 11 minutes, I would have massed out on roaches 200, 200, and just started pushing him, trying to deny this third as much as I could, multi-prong attack in his natural and in his third, stuff like that. But because he didn't do that, and he didn't try to take a third, I knew he would pressure me, and the important thing is just to make sure that you have the units you need to defend that. So getting the correct number up, which is like 160, 170, and then creating a tech transition that will allow you to get into the mid to late game stages of the game, and then actually correctly choose when to make those units and how to know when to make those units. That's what really makes the difference at that point, because I think that's something that a lot of diamond players struggle with when they're used to, oh yeah, I can kill a protoss using roaches, or oh, I lost to this attack because he got there before I could make roaches. This will show you exactly how to beat an attack like this that is basically an exact hard counter to your build. And in this case, specifically a game that was not macro intensive on the Protoss part. It was strictly intended to kill me at that point. I really, LXG, I really hope that you don't mind me using this game as an example. He did actually play this very well. Like I said, he did have a hard counter. And it's important to mention that if I look at the units lost tab, you're going to see a huge advantage. Well, earlier you would have in the protoss favor, because he was trading so efficiently. He had around 130 army supply in each of those engagements that were happening at this points in the map, when I was at 200, and he was actually holding me off, managing to kill my entire army 3 times before I was actually finally able to come through and crush the rest of his army. So very powerful push, very well played by Dex LXG. But this game, obviously, you know, was just, I made correct decisions, I made correct engagements, and I chose to do the things I chose to do at the right times. And whether or not they were perfect engagements, or whether or not some might say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, I'm basically explaining exactly why I did what I did and how it actually played out to end this game with a victory in my favor. So I think I'm just going to end it here. There's not really any point to continue to show what happens in the rest of this game. It doesn't really matter, but basically at this point I do just manage to move in here and crush this army, and just proceed to move on to the next game. So hope you guys like this video. Hope it helps in ZvP struggles in the mid to late game, and let me know if you have any questions or any comments about this video or my stream or my YouTube page in general, and I hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you guys next time.